We're always being asked here on the News Hour and on Times Now, why are you asking all these questions? This is the way Delhi works. Well, we are here at Times Now would like to know the way Delhi works, and so would the rest of India. And they would like to see that whole edifice of corruption being broken down brick by brick. Tonight on the News Hour, I have Mahesh Jethmalani. Good evening, sir. Senior lawyer also of the BJP. Gopal Jain, senior lawyer in the Supreme Court. Thank you very much. TSR Subramaniam, former cabinet secretary. And Abhay Aima is a well-known business voice and market analyst. Gentlemen, thank you very much. We want to know how things work. So my first question is to you, Gopal. Isn't this really exposing how things work or have worked in Delhi? And if this is happening in the telecom ministry, surely all the other ministries, economic and infrastructure especially, are not, exactly insulated from all this.
Yes, absolutely. This is a complete expose. It gets down, to the brass tacks and the bottom of it all, because the underlying problem across infrastructure is faulty policy, distortions in policy. You have minefields there, because then you can bowl a googly. You can turn it in any direction that you want. So we've seen it in the terms of allocation of scarce resources, whether it's spectrum, whether it's oil and gas, whether, if you remember way back, it was airwaves, and there was a whole queue outside Mandi House as to who would get, the first license or the first slot. So this is characteristic of, if I may say so, policy making in India, because it is always tailor-made and it is predetermined to suit particular interests, which is why you have lobbies, and which is why you have the controversies, and which is why you have the scams which you have unearthed. And
I want you to address Mahesh Jethmalani straight on this. BJP is looking at with wide-eyed wonder, saying, oh my God, this is terrible. Ravi Shankar Prasad just said, Neera Radia tapes have for the first time exposed this. We are suddenly becoming aware. Can the BJP really claim this level of innocence? Can the NDA claim this level of innocence given the backdrop of what has happened in the past?
No, absolutely not. In fact, it's a legacy going back to 1999. Telecom was a flagship sector which has in fact got over 75,000 crores as license fee for the government of India. But during the NDA regime, on the night of 25th of January, when 26th January was Republic Day, was the first scam which was perpetrated, where you tried to permit fixed line operators in offering cellular mobility. The catch was you did not have to pay for a cellular license, which is exactly the same as giving 2G spectrum at a pittance. So if the taint of a scam is to be put to the present regime, it will apply with full force and equal vigor to the NDA government as well of that particular point in time. And the best proof of this came that years later, when they wanted to legitimize this illegitimacy, they said, all right, we'll put a penalty. So it's like saying you build a building without permission, then to regularize it, you pay a compounding fee, which is a small pittance. So there's a huge scam which is giving away mobility without fetching the price it should fetch. And then the cover-up is, I put a penalty on the person, so you let them go scot-free and bless them with legitimacy.
That's the point.
So this is the same footprint that we are seeing today, which have been there from 99 and 2001.
So that's the point, Mahesh Jethmalani. This whole taking high moral ground is not going to work. Either for the BJP, the NDA, you have to open yourself up, you have to accept there was corruption in your time as well, and stop being selective about Raja. We've attacked Raja the most, but you can't start being selective about it.
Arnab, I wholeheartedly agree with you and with Gopal.
You do?
If the rot goes back to 1998, 2001, 2003, when the NDA government was in power, and the Supreme Court has now said it merits examination. The BJP leader of the opposition, the Rajya Sabha, Arun Jaitley, has already said in unambiguous terms that we welcome this probe. We believe there is nothing to hide, but if there was something seriously wrong, and there was a controversy raised at that time, there's no gainsaying that. You can't deny that the 2001 policy created a stir. No. And if there is any wrongdoing in those days, belated though it may be, and even though it may be a diversionary tactic of the present-day Congress, I think it merits a serious examination and appraisal, including by investigating agencies like the CBI, and bringing to book anybody who is guilty of wrongdoing.
My question is this, and I want to get Abhay Aima, and I'm going to come back to TSR Subramaniam. Now we are being told, what is happening right now is that you're seeing the scams come out, you're seeing the documents come out, Abhay. Ratan Tata, I think, has written that politically connected operators had willfully subverted policies under various telecom ministers. In other words, in plain English, what is being said is some companies bought over some ministers. I mean, that's my interpretation, not Mr. Tata's. That some companies had bought over some ministers. We know about this now, in 2010. When Sukhram happened, it was, I think, in the early 90s, which means for more than a decade and a half, we have been fooled. And telecom ministers and politicians have made tons of money. That's the only conclusion I draw. Abhay.
Arnab, there's a basic question here. Have you ever heard of a corporate making an investment without looking at return? That is not possible in this world. And now every politician who has come to power, no matter where he is, there is an X amount of investment that is gone in by practically every corporate that exists or a major corporate that exists. So all that the corporate is doing is getting a return on his investment. And as long as the system continues of funding, I mean, how can, even if you are the cleanest politician, even if you are, in the most powerful position, if you have gone to a certain corporate for when the elections are going to go, when the elections are coming, what moral standing do you have to stand up and say, look, I will not bend rules this way or I will not do this, because the mere election of that person is courtesy some corporate or the other. So, saying it may come out in 2G scam, 3G scam, you can have PAC, you can have JPC, you can have what you want, but the fact remains that is where the basic problem is. Otherwise, I don't understand all the debates that I've heard. If there is an amount that has been stolen, the first thing that should have been done is to recover that amount. There has been no mention, I mean, there have been counter allegations by corporates, by political parties, but there is no mention at all. Let's get the money back first. Maybe my taxes will come down by, if not 10%, at least 5%.
Yes, and absolutely. Fundamentally. And if that is the question, then Mahesh Jethmalani, and I think I'm not mistaken, there was a certain minister in a Vajpayee government. When he took over the reins of the ministry, Gopal will probably know more about it, telecom companies owed more than 3,500 crores as license fee in that time. It was a lot of money. This minister was not willing to relent on his demand that telecom companies should pay their dues, and he was transferred out of this ministry very quickly. I'm just not naming the minister concerned. So eyebrows will be raised. Tough ministers transfer out. Ramvilas Paswan, maybe more. Am I right, Gopal?
Yeah, Arnab, you're right, and I want to point out a very interesting thing which has happened only once in the history of India. When we had a truly independent regulator, the TRAI, headed by a retired judge, the BJP government actually suspended and did away with the entire regulator because they couldn't get rid of him because there was a protective mechanism under the Act. And then they reconstituted. It was headed by a bureaucrat who was I think had a banking background and had no knowledge of telecom, because he had said to the Karta Dharta that if you appoint me, I will do your agenda under the guise of a regulatory framework and law. So when we have independent people there to function in the manner in which it was contemplated, the way you do it is you get rid of them en masse and then substitute them with yes men.
That's Mahesh Jethmalani response.
And this is the only time it has happened in the history of India.
Mahesh Jethmalani respond. Specific point being raised by Gopal.
Arnab,
No.
Arnab, this is not an inquisition as far as I'm concerned.
No.
I was not associated with the BJP NDA telecom policy or that government. I can only repeat that Gopal, who appeared for one of the parties at that time in '99 and continues to do so, has much greater knowledge. The only problem is, let's not lose sight of the fact that this scam is really about 2G spectrum. Yes, if it goes back and merits examination of previous policies, as the Supreme Court itself has indicated, it must be investigated. But let's not lose the fact that we have a CAG report, and that's the real issue. Everything else is a little dated, and I wish the opposition in the past, which was then the Congress, or there was a CAG report in the past pointing out all these malpractices, and if there was any revenue loss caused. And
but why?
The case of the 2G
No, why are you being selective? What about a certain minister who is believed to be involved in a 1,300 crore scam while giving out licenses to GSM and CDMA operators between 1999 and 2001?
Arnab,
no, you can't.
I have to reject your charge. You're being less than fair to me by saying that I am being selective. I am repeating, and please read my lips. I am saying that we wholeheartedly welcome, the present BJP wholeheartedly welcomes any inquiry or investigation into past alleged wrongdoings in the telecom sector, including at the time when the NDA was in power. In the telecom sector, including at the time when the NDA was in power.
I'm simply proving, TSR Subramaniam has a very knowing smile. I have a sense that TSR knows a lot about it. My only question here is, Mr. Subramaniam, obviously there is so much more dirt which is to be revealed.
Arnab, yes. The discussion reminds me of '97,
yes,
when the TRAI Act was established. In fact, I was one of the drafters of that. We wanted independent regulation at that time. I, along with Satish Chandran, who was the Principal Secretary to Deva Gowda, both of us jointly drafted this. And the justice mentioned there was the Chief Justice of Allahabad High Court. When I was Chief Secretary, he was my colleague. I requested him to come over, and they started it in right royal fashion. Same time, we had similar regulators for the electricity sector, 2 or 3 other sectors. Within 2 years, this was not found convenient because the system found them stumbling and stopping the ability of the ministry to do whatever it wanted, and we immediately had the act amended. A brand new act came. So I have to smile, saying that yes, we start doing things with very good intention. This is what happens. Again, I am very familiar with the role of bureaucrats, with the role of politicians, with the role of business people. One small thought. I remember one minister in one of the ministries where I was secretary came. He was new to the ministry. He called me, gave me a drink and said, I want to plug all the loopholes in this ministry.
Okay.
Tell me all the loopholes. So in good faith, I told him 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In the next 6 months, he systematically exploited every single one.
Fine.
Instead of plugging them,
name the person.
That,
no, name the person.
Came and each one was used 10 times
name
over.
the person.
This is the history of India.
Name the person.
I'm sorry to say this. I have no solution for this. I have seen it from inside. But this is the history of India.
Name the person.
Unfortunately, everybody is a beneficiary.
I have a solution.
Everybody in the system is a beneficiary.
No,
we enjoy it.
No, TSR Subramaniam. I have the highest respect for you, sir. You're one of the most neutral, honest, balanced bureaucrats this country has seen. Name the person. Name the person you're talking about. Name the person.
I can't do that.
You don't want to name the person.
No, this is not fair. This is not fair.
No, you see, the question here is, you have a solution, but I want to ask Abhay before that. Okay, yeah, go on.
No, I have written about it in my book, but I have not, but not the person. It is not fair for me to malign somebody.
No, but it is also not fair, is it, Abhay, for the same corrupt politicians to say, in my time there was the most explosive growth which happened in the telecom sector. This growth would have happened whether these people had been there or not, given the explosion in our economy. Abhay.
No, absolutely. I mean, the problem is that even someone like Mr. Subramaniam, who I have heard for some time, and as you rightly pointed out, is a respected bureaucrat known for his honesty. He's probably, not connected to any of the politics. Even he, is reluctant to come out and say, I don't think it's unfair. I mean, if at some point people have to get up and really care for the country, and if they know something which is not right, you need to put it above what the repercussions are going to be and, talk about it. But as I said previously, I think the basic flaw lies in, even if today some minister decides to be honest and the system will be changed, because what does he do in the next elections? Where does he get the money to fund his, if he doesn't become an MP, he's not there, so what is the point in being honest if he's not there? Yeah. So I think, it's easier said than done, but I think if we can treat the basic malice that is there, where it comes from, then at least if someone wants to be honest, he can be honest.
Okay, quick, Gopal, you were saying something there. We can't get into a big solution discussion right now. But
very quick solution. It's in the drafting and formulation of policy where the gochi happens. So I'm saying let this be outsourced, at which India is, well known all over the world, to a true panel of experts, people who know the sector, regulatory experts, economists, lawyers and policymakers, so that they are insulated from the pull and pushes of politicians or vested interests, and they will make the best policy.
Okay, but who are we going to trust when every sector is being questioned? That's a big question which remains. Gentlemen, this whole issue has raised up so many questions tonight, but one thing we are clear of: the truth was not told till now. As the fight is intensifying, more dirt is coming out, and maybe more dirt should come out till the cleansing process starts. Targeting Raja alone, certainly target him, is not enough. Thank you, gentlemen.